What's going on, guys? What's cracking? Again, I haven't been doing much with videos, but I have to do an upload because I got a bit of a problem. So I took out the car the other night there, got the kids down, and I wanted to go out for a little bit. Later at night, as soon as I went to go drive it, it was a quiet night, so I had the window down, and I noticed like the car was pushing air. When I mean pushing air, it didn't sound right. You know, you didn't just hear the exhaust noise or hear the turbo. It felt like it had a leak. And because obviously I'm on the driver's side here with the intake, I'm like, damn it, there's something on the intake manifold. Looked at it, was revving it, didn't hear anything. Kind of heard something, I guess, in like the valve train, which scared me, but it wasn't there. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not that. Come over to the exhaust side and I could really hear it. And it sounds like the exhaust gasket here is blown out. Unfortunately, one of them is blown out, so I need to take the whole turbo kit off. It might just be the actual gasket for the turbo itself, but I just learned a new little fact that you don't need to run a gasket when you're running a T4 flange. So I was talking to Irv and Josh Madison last night, and they were kind of explaining that, you know, as long as the turbo and the flange itself is a quality manifold and it's machined flat, they never run gaskets, ever. They said they've never run a gasket, it's never been a problem, they've never leaked. So I'm like, you guys sure? I'm like, I'm just running like the standard, that little thin piece of metal. Like, yeah, dude, don't even bother. It's just, you're asking for more headaches with it. Okay, so they say as long as it's machined flat, there's no need for it, and all I'm gonna do here is, if that is the problem, I'm gonna take it off, remove it. I have a good feeling just before we get here, it is the exhaust gaskets. Luckily, I have a Powerhouse Racing manifold, which makes removing this a lot easier, plus I don't have ABS, and I have the lift now, so I can get it up, get the V-band stuff off, take the downpipe off, and go from there. After looking at Josh Madison's S2000 though, that car's way easier to work on. Downside of these cars is the way the studs are designed. They go under each runner, kind of annoying, but hey, if that's the worst thing on a 2JZ, I'll freaking take it because these engines are quite amazing. So let's go ahead and start here. First thing I'm gonna do is take off the catch can, then we'll take off the intake, and I guess we'll work with the turbo then, and then the wastegates, and then the manifold itself. I guess I'll have to take off the intercooler piping here too. So just little things, one part at a time, and just go from there. Unfortunately, I dug into it here, guys. It's not the gasket. Let me just show you. So I actually got this done pretty quick. I got this all done like 30 to 45 minutes. I forgot how much having a lift and finally having all the tools before I didn't have all these tools, so it's made this a lot easier. But I was able to get everything off. All I have to do now is literally take the turbo manifold off itself and I'm done. Now that is a little bit harder because you gotta get the bottom bolts, but Powerhouse Racing makes it easy to get to most of them. So yeah, it shouldn't be too terrible, but here's the problem, and I'll get better lighting here then, see if it'll focus. You can't really see here, but this is cracked. I can actually move this. I can physically move this piece. So I messaged Powerhouse Racing. I probably would just have it welded locally, but it's so close to flange that if it's not done properly, it will warp. And if it warps, then the turbo flange won't sit properly, and then you'll have issues, and stinks, but you know, I'll talk to those guys, see what they say what to do. I still feel like there was a leak up here, so I want to take this off, see if there's any other cracks or if the gaskets here are blown out too, but I mean, you can literally see where it's cracked pretty bad. I can physically move this runner and bend it because it's cracked open, but I think there's a leak up here too, so once I get the manifold off, we'll take a look at that, but kind of a bummer, but yeah, I'm glad I got good tools now and I was able to get this done quick. So just going to give you guys a quick little update here. So everything's off. This is one good thing with the Powerhouse, not one, multiple things, but an hour from start to finish. Now a lift makes a world of difference, especially for intercooler pipe and stuff like that, but honestly, you have jack stands, you can get underneath it and work with it too. The only thing that takes a little bit of finesse is down here to get everything lined up again, but taking stuff off is obviously a lot easier. But an hour start to finish, taking everything off the car from the catch can to the intake to the manifold, all of it took me exactly an hour. So if you guys know, 2JZ GTE manifolds are usually a pain in the butt, because you can see here, the studs go under each runner, so it makes it really hard to get to. You have to try and get your hand back there, but the way the Powerhouse Racing manifold design is designed to give stud priority, along with a lot of other things, to make it a little bit easier. Stud priority, get it? Joke. Anyways, let's get back to the turbo kit, which I got strewn across here. It looks so nice. I'm really impressed how well the coatings held up on this. Now, a lot of this is my fault. I hit it with a hammer a couple times, so ignore that, but everywhere else, especially down here too, you can see where I banged it against stuff. Everywhere else has really held up well. This 100% is my fault. Literally drug shit across it because I'm a moron. I did have this recoated because I had it cut a little bit shorter. The way they had it worked, it just a little bit different. This pipe I need to redo. You can see it's actually putting, I guess, exhaust fumes back up on the pipe because I had it too close to the body and it wasn't exhausting well enough. Dumb. Again, my fault. Another thing I've been told is not to run turbo gaskets. Now, I thought this is the gasket that had blown out, but it didn't, along with my factory gaskets here for the exhaust manifold. They hadn't blown out either, but I'm being told with a proper manifold and a properly machined flat flange on a turbo, there's no need for these. I was talking to a bunch of guys and they say, we don't run them. Why do you run that? It's just another thing to fail. So unless you guys tell me otherwise, I'm being pretty much told that these are 100% useless and not to run them. So I don't plan on doing that. Again, my board warner holding up nice, gives me some time to, it's a little crusty down here, so it gives me some time to clean all this up while it's all off. I really do like the flange they use on this too. So this little piece allows it to come off and I can get my wrench on for the AN fitting, which I like. I think I'm gonna take this time to also go ahead and run this to a -3 now. I've been running a -4, but it's been getting oil in the system. So I'm gonna switch over to a -3 now instead of a -4, try and get it done. And then let's get back to the manifold here. I wanted to go ahead and say this too. With the manifold, I already reached out to Sam at Powerhouse Racing. Great people over there. They already said, Ryan, just so you know, before he even could say anything, he's like, hey man, I see that stinks. He's like, you're the second person ever to have this happen, which is crazy. He's like, but just so you know, we have a lifetime guarantee on our manifold. You know that, right? I said, I kind of remember it, but I wasn't 100% sure. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, just let me know. He's like, I'll send you the prepaid label. So that means he paid shipping there and back. And he's like, we take care of it. You don't have to worry about it, man. I was trying to be careful with it. I was pretty pumped about that. So yeah, it's already getting shipped off, but you guys can see, if it'll focus there, you can see how well it cracked the whole way around. It comes the whole way down here too. So just this little bit of weld is all that's left that was holding it on. That's it. So it just, yeah, I'm not sure if they're gonna brace it this time around. I would think maybe they might brace this one and this one, like just come off this pipe maybe, or come off this one, you know, run something up. Again, I'm just speaking out loud here. I don't know. You might not even have to. Maybe I'm just an idiot. But maybe they might brace this one just to keep this a little bit more structurally sound. I don't know. This is the one I would thought, because look how much more this comes out, the extra weight. You know, the further the weight's hanging off from that weld, the more of a chance you have for issues. This is one of their, I shouldn't say early, because they did this forever, their S23 manifolds with a welded collector. I know they do all billet collectors now. So yeah, the only thing that comes off them is the actual piping itself. So the collectors are all billet now. I would imagine that probably saves time and headache. Trying to weld the collectors has got to be very time consuming. So very nice. Big shout out to Powerhouse Racing for taking care of their customers. You know, I didn't even have to question. He's like, yeah, man, lifetime warranty. Send that thing back. We got you. So pretty awesome. Really stoked to get it back and get it back up and running again. So again, part of why everything's apart, there's an event coming up too after my Supra barbecue. I would like, this is a pipe dream, I don't know if I'll take it, but there's an event called Supras in Myrtle Beach. I think it'd be kind of cool to take this. My family has a place down there, so it doesn't even have to go to a hotel, so it'll be a private residence, which I'm really stoked about. But some things, you know, heat management, right? I've deleted and removed a lot, which helps me. So there's less, my thing is, less is more, right? I do like luxuries, don't get me wrong. Like I like power steering. I like having AC. I like modern amenities, right? I like heat. But if I don't feel like I truly need it, I remove it. You know, I get rid of my ABS. I deleted a lot of the plugs, a lot of little things, you know, a lot of lights and stuff, a lot of warnings. There's a lot of stuff I removed. Realistically, if I would go through this whole harness here, that fuse box is pretty much probably more than half dead. Pretty much more than half of that is useless, and I could run inside the car. That's what the ultimate goal was for this, but I think this is going to stay more simple just for my wife's sake, and I think when the time comes and I really revamp this car, I'll get rid of that 100%, run, you know, a Nexus CCU in this and redo everything, you know, because I do have this larger wiring harness. You can see all the wires there, but probably more than half of those wires are junk. So probably the wiring harness only needs to be, we'll say at most coming up here, 20 wires, right? I think that's probably a little too much. It's probably more like 10 to 15, but I could be overdoing it. I'm not really sure how many it needs depending on the headlights and stuff, but there's very few things up here that need switched on anymore because a lot of it will be put in the car. Even the plugs that come up here, instead of going there, I'll remove them, put the resistors and stuff down by the kick panel so it won't need to come up here anymore. Just little dumb things that I'd like to clean up. But another thing I want to show you guys again for heat management here. So down here, you can see I have fire sleeving everything. I found this a couple years ago. It's like a rubberized sleeving, but I put it around my feed line here and you can see where I covered the feed lines good, but above it, this had a black sleeving on it before, just like the hard plastic sleeving you'll call it. And you see it's all cracking off. So that has me worried. And then when I was looking at my drain line here, I had it sleeved before. See if I can get down here. I had it sleeved before, but down in this area, right around here, it stopped. Well, I could see the quote unquote, like the nylon was getting a little stiff and hard and brittle there. So I went ahead and re-sleeved the whole thing, brand new sleeve, the whole way down across it. The sleeve, all the area above was like soft and new still. So it just shows you how important that sleeving really is. So yeah, went ahead and removed all that. and I'm most likely going to remove this dash 4 feed and go down to a dash 3. I feel like the dash 4 is overkill, and I'm getting oil out the front of my turbo, so it's filling my intake pipe, and it's coming out the front of the turbo and coming slightly, and I mean ever so slightly, out of this side here. So I contacted Rouzerville at Kaizen Motorsports, and he's going to make me an XRP-3 feed because I need a high pressure, and I know he can make all that stuff. So going to get some links here for him and get it done. Pretty stoked. I'm not sure what else. I thought about making out a hardline, so that's another thing I thought about. But when you do hardline like that and how you're going to run it and for it to look half decent is definitely not the easiest thing on earth. So I'm not trying to make my life even harder too. Having a soft line or a braided line makes this a little bit easier for servicing. If I need to move it out of the way, it moves out of the way a lot easier. But now for heat management wise with the hard line, you don't have to worry about shit. So I do like that with a hard line. You don't ever have to worry about sleeving and stuff, and it can be right against the manifold pretty much. I don't even recommend putting that hot stainless or the stainless right next to it when rattling and all the other things, but I'm debating here. Soft line for the drain still, but gotta decide. Another thing I wish I would have done the wife, so you can see down there, I welded on the fitting for this oil pan for the return. Some people say that's dumb. If you screw up the threads, then you're screwed. I get that catch-22, just take your time. I also know that, you're not supposed to over-crank these things. I see people like rip on them and just over-crank on everything. They're aluminum fittings going to an aluminum male bung to an aluminum female. You guys just take your time. If you can feel it threading on, put it on by hand. If it's not going on by hand, take it off. Clean it out, do whatever you need to, take a rag, blow it out there. It should go on easily. If it's not, then you have some coarse burr somewhere. There's dirt somewhere on it. There's no need to force that on. You can even see here with all the heat, look at the fitting, it has barely discolored. This really goes right beside the hot side there. I'm really impressed how well it's holding up. My Mac valve's holding up well too. I put heat sleeve over top of that so it would last here for over the couple years. Jose made this harness out of Raychem. Kind of wish my new one was coming in Raychem for Cat's car, but unfortunately I did not opt for that, and I should have because it looks so much better and helps a ton with heat management too. When the time comes to upgrade the catch can, I'll post this up for sale here too. I'm probably not going to do these 45s. I'm going to do 90s and straights. These just add more complication, and it put it too close to firewall. It looked clean, but it was too close for the way I liked it. It looked cleaner, but if I go to a fresh paint, I'm just worried it might rub. Plus, I don't know. I just overcomplicated for no reason. I just overthought it. Typical me. So I'm probably going to go back to straight fittings on the new setup, but when I sell this, I'll sell it all as one kit. So the fittings, lines, the whole shebang. I'll let you know when I get that up for sale because I have to figure out a new catch can situation. I really like the one I did for Cats. I really like that vibrant catch can, but I also like having something custom set up for this car as I feel like this car deserves it. It's a little unique. This is kind of like, I'll call it my quote unquote test bed car. That's how I learned to do everything I need to do on hers. And even still then, there's more things I could learn from it, and there's more things I could absolutely do. I guess I might as well speak on this too. I had some people message or comment on my Facebook page, but I put this 45-degree fitting here at the top, and the reason I did that is you can see here, I can get a wrench on it directly. If I did it straight, I couldn't get into it in a good way. The reason I did it here, putting the 45-degree fitting like that, was for the ability to get my wrench on it easily. Unlike most turbo kits, if you don't have the extended one, which also hits most runners, unlike actually the Powerhouse Race, I could run an extended one, but I didn't. This fits right up, and I can get a straight fitting directly on it, then down on my car. I think you guys saw there, but I'll go ahead and re-show it here. Again, straight fitting at the top, and then I use the 45-degree fitting here at the very bottom. Sorry, I got that sitting there because that might be dripping oil. 45-degree fitting there. And getting this apart makes me realize how dirty this is. Having an open dump wastegate's got this all dirty. Look how much it's knocked off the paint here on the side of the block. Aesthetically, it just doesn't look great. Is it hurting anything? No. But does it look good? Also no. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, these are Camry studs I use. I'm going to upgrade eventually to the Bear Boost Performance titanium studs like I did on my wife's car. The one issue I've always had with this head, and this has been a problem since day one, if you look at all the studs, they all look normal, right? Except right here. If you see this stud right here and compare it to the rest, it sits a little bit further. You see at the top, it's got a little bit of a crack there, see if it'll focus. Got a little bit of a crack there. Well, that obviously expanded out, and I guess is causing some issues. It's been like that. It hasn't cracked in the head, hasn't caused me any problems. I got cranked in there, but I don't have it super tight like the other ones. I'm not sure how they did that back in the day. It looks like this one cracked here too. I think that was like that too because I don't over crank these. I kind of get them in and then use the bolts to seize them in, if that makes sense, because I don't want to crack the head. So there's another one that looks like it's seen better days. Yeah, I could probably have that touch-up welded. If I take the head off, I'd probably have that touched up and then ground smooth just to be safe. I just don't want that to crack over time. Same thing down here. I had this rear port on the water pump welded shut. I know a lot of people drill and tap and so they can run water eventually. My goal is to have less is more, again, like I said. So I really want one of those new comp turbos that requires no oil drain line or feed line. It's 100% air cooled, and I'd love to run one of the new electric wastegates from TurboSmart. That means no vacuum lines at all, no MAC valve here. You would run everything right off the back. Again, that is way down the road. Again, that is a pipe dream for me. Maybe one day, just not at this time. I also obviously shaved and welded those two. It's not perfect there, but that's then powder coated. It didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to look half decent. For the most part, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty basic setup. Obviously, using an NA water pipe there, per usual. Again, these are some like Subaru hoses I figured out back in the day. Nothing, again, special. Just kind of going over it. Another thing I need to do, if you look here, the water pump is leaking. I run regular water in this, and I think that's causing a lot of my issues too. So I'm gonna run distilled this time around. Stan Steger Media, Tony, always gives me shit for it. So when I drain this out, I'm going to dump everything out of the radiator, everything as much as I can, get as much fluid out of it, and then re-burp the system and yeah, start from anew. I'll probably put a new thermostat in it too, because if we're going this far, might as well put a new thermostat in it. Yeah, try to do as much as I can. I really need to build the whole engine, but I don't want to take it down because that's down. I'm such a horrible person. I've got this much off. I'm like, well, I might as well do this. I am that person 100%. I'm the, well, you might as well go ahead and do, yeah, I'm that guy. And I'm trying to stay away from that. The one thing that I really feel like I can eliminate, you know, this is a bit of a pipe dream over here because I haven't seen tried and true under the hood yet without issues on those turbos quite yet. So I want to wait. I'm very happy with Borg-Warners. I am trying a precision turbo on her car, but I'm very happy with Borg-Warners because they're very stout. You know, I can do Antilag, do whatever, and they don't care. I really like those for that reason. That's what scares me. Going with the comp turbo, I've heard, you know, hit or miss. The one thing that would really clean things up for me, and I'm really unsure too, just because it is a street car, is doing the Granis Racing non-power steering rack. So it's just a rack and pinion, but it's designed to be a little bit looser, a little bit better for a street car. So it would eliminate this pump, all this fluid and stuff, extra wiring, would allow more room in here. Cause I mean, right here, just by eliminating this pump, it would allow so much room to get and access things that are right here. I'd still have AC down below, but that's down low. It's just this right here kills me at times when I need to access things. And if I just could get my hand under there, it would be, I don't want to curse, it would just be ideal. It really would be ideal. Yeah. Oh, and this port here I would have welded. This is a coolant port that I did weld on the wife's car. So if I come over here real quick, I did weld this on her car. Some people say you shouldn't do it. What I did was I had it welded first, then I decked the head, and the tolerances were like no difference. If you can see in there, right back in there, it's welded shut. Again, I'm never going to use that. It goes originally to the factory throttle body that needs coolant. I always eliminated it anyways on the factory setup. Again, so just one less thing to worry about. I like welding stuff like that because in my opinion, it's a one and done then. It's welded, it's off. I don't have to worry about it ever again. Again, that is my opinion. That car eventually will go drive-by-wire too, just like this one is. Again, simplicity. I know some people say, well, that's not. In my opinion, it is. It really breaks things down. No cable anymore. You can do, I know, I want cruise control back. It allows you to do so much more, and you have so much more control. It's only, I believe, what is this, 3 or 4 wires? Because I think you only used 4 wires out of that thing total. It has 6 in there, but I think you only use 4 of the 6 in there. Very simple. It removes the idle air control valve for you too. It really breaks things down, and I really like that. So again, I wanted to show you guys a little bit more heat management. So I did have this Red Horse sleeve on this line. Now you can see it's obviously short, and the only reason I had it like that is I feel like I didn't need this the whole way up and around. I'm like, not a big deal. I had it covering so much of the line, and now you can see why you should probably cover the whole thing. So if you start down here, the sheathing, they had black sheathing over top of the stainless steel line too. Pretty, and burnt right here where that covering stopped. You can see, and that was towards the front of the turbo cover too, not towards the hot side. It melted, it cracked all off completely up here. And look at this. I mean, look at that. It all is cracking off. I'm replacing this, like I said, to a -3, but I'm gonna wrap the whole thing, the new one, in this heat stuff. I think it's up to 500 degrees direct, and I forget indirect, like 1500. So pretty insane how much heat it can take. I have the drain line already set up with it. So another indication, guys, wrap your stuff. You don't want anything to happen. God forbid, I mean, especially your high pressure line, if that would burst and get all over the hot manifold, I mean, I got a fire and I'm screwed. I mean, once that starts, you're done. I mean, that's it, you're done. And I don't want that happening. So it's not worth taking a chance.